Getting started with the OpenAI API in Python. Welcome to your first lesson on using the OpenAI API with Python. In this session, you will learn about what the OpenAI API is and why it is popular. You will install the library, set up your environment, and generate your first AI text. No previous experience is required. Let us get started. Running the cell now. What is the OpenAI API? The OpenAI API is a tool that lets you interact with powerful artificial intelligence models. You can use it to generate text, answer questions, summarize information, and more. People use it for chatbots, coding helpers, creative writing, and automating tasks. It is a paid service, so you will need an account and an API key. Running the cell now. Installing the OpenAI Python library. You need to install the OpenAI Python library to use the API in your code. If you are using this notebook online, it might already be installed. To install it yourself, use pip. Running the cell now. This comment just tells us that we will turn off warning messages to keep our output easy to read. This line will import the warnings library and turn off all warning messages so they do not clutter our notebook. Import numpy as np. We set the random C to 42 for reproducibility. Running the cell now. Here, the code sets up the environment by importing necessary libraries and suppressing warnings for cleaner output. Although there's no visible output, notice the use of np.random.seed 42, which ensures that any random processes in later code will produce consistent, reproducible results, an important step when working with APIs or running examples. If you need to, you can run this command to install the OpenAI library. Right now, we do not actually run this line, but you can use it if you are on your own computer. Running the cell now. This code snippet is about installing the OpenAI Python library, and since it's commented out, running it produces no output, indicating the library is likely already installed or the command wasn't executed. The key takeaway here is that you only need to run this installation once to set up your environment. This step ensures you have the necessary tools to make API calls later in the lesson. The comment explains that we will use the OS library to read environment variables like your API key. This line will bring in the OS library, which helps us work with the system and get our secret API key. Running the cell now. This code imports the OS module to access environment variables, which is essential for securely handling your OpenAI API key. Although there's no visible output, this step sets up your environment and is crucial before installing or using the OpenAI Python library. It shows the preparatory actions needed to safely manage credentials in your code. The comment explains we are loading our API key securely. This line gets your secret OpenAI API key from your environment, so you do not need to type it in your code. Running the cell now. This code snippet loads your OpenAI API key securely from your environment variables, enabling authenticated access to the OpenAI API without exposing your key in the code. Notice there's no printed output, which is expected, as the key is just being stored for later use. This step is crucial for keeping your API credentials safe while integrating the OpenAI library. What is an API key? An API key is a secret code that identifies you to the OpenAI service. Never share your key in public code. Keeping your key safe helps protect your account and your money. Running the cell now. We explain in this comment that you are getting the library you use to talk to OpenAI. This code line imports the OpenAI client. The client is an object that lets you connect to OpenAI services in your programs. Running the cell now. This code sets up the OpenAI Python client by importing the necessary library, a key first step before using your API key to access OpenAI services. Notice there is no visible output because this is just preparation, no requests have been made yet. This highlights the importance of securely managing your API key before running further code that interacts with the service. This comment explains that we are setting up the client to send messages. Here, we make a client object. This object is your connection that lets you talk to the OpenAI servers. Running the cell now. This code sets up a client object that allows you to send requests to the OpenAI service using your API key. Although there's no visible output here, this step is crucial because it securely connects your code to OpenAI, enabling all future interactions while keeping your key private. Remember, the key stays behind the scenes to protect your account. What is a model? A model is an AI brain that does the work. Different models have different skills, sizes, and costs. For text and chat, you will use models with GPT in the name. Running the cell now. We are now ready to talk to the API. This comment says we will send our first chat message. This starts an API call to the chat completions endpoint. That means you are starting a conversation with the AI. We choose a small GPT for model. Using a smaller model can help save money and run quickly. We send one message that says hello, just like greeting a person. We are done setting up the chat message. Now we print the ARIS reply so you can see it in your notebook. Running the cell now. The output shows the AI model responding to our simple greeting with a polite follow-up question, demonstrating basic conversational ability. This illustrates how the GPT 4.1 linear model acts as the AI brain that processes and replies to user messages, which is the core purpose of a chat model in this lesson. Notice that the response is appropriate and interactive, confirming the model is ready to assist as intended. How messages work in chat completions. Every chat has a list called messages. Each message is a dictionary with a role and some content. The role can be user for you or assistant for the AI. The content is the message text. Running the cell now. Here, the comment describes that we are trying out a summarization task with the AI. We make a string called prompt. The prompt asks the AI to summarize a short sentence. Now we start a chat completion with our prompt. Again, we choose the mini GPT for model for efficient results. We pass our prompt as the message from the user. End the API call setup. We print the summary that the AI gives us as a result. Running the cell now. This output shows the assistant summary of the user's original sentence, demonstrating how the messages list works by passing the prompt as a user message. Notice that the AI takes the user's content and responds with a concise version, highlighting the interaction between the user and assistant roles in chat completions. Reading the API response. The API gives you a response object back. The ARIS reply is inside response.choices0.message.content. This is the text that the AI wrote for you. Running the cell now. Now you can ask your own question. The comment reminds us about this. This line will wait for you to type a question for the AI. It could be anything simple, like what is a rainbow? Use the client object to send your typed question to the chat model. The model is still GPT 4.1 mini for practice. Your text is sent as the user's message in the chat. Finish building the API call. This print statement shows you how the AI answers your question. Running the cell now. Here, we see the ARIS full reply extracted from output.choices0.message.content, which contains a detailed explanation of the user's question about rainbows. Notice how the text is neatly returned as a single string, showing that the key takeaway from this code is how to correctly access the ARIS-generated message within the nested response object. This confirms our understanding that the main content lives inside choices0.message.content in the API response. This comment explores errors when you use a wrong model name. We start a try block. That means Python will watch for errors so your notebook does not crash. We call the chat completion with a non-existent model. That model name is not real, so we expect an error. Send a test message just like before. End the function call. Catch any error that happens. Print the error message so you know what went wrong. Running the cell now. Here, the output shows a clear error message when an invalid model name is used in the API request. Notice how the response object returns a detailed error dictionary inside the exception, helping you understand that the model wasn't found or accessible. This highlights the importance of handling API errors gracefully and inspecting the response structure for troubleshooting. Handle API errors. API calls can fail for many reasons: typos, bad keys, or network issues. Try except blocks help your code catch these problems. Printing the error tells you what to fix. Running the cell now. Best practices for OpenAI API use. Always keep your API key private. Choose the smallest model that works for your needs. Limit the number of tokens to save money. Check your API usage on the OpenAI dashboard. Running the cell now. The comment shows you will make a small project, a chatbot that keeps talking until you say exit. Prints a reminder to type exit if you want to stop chatting. This starts a loop so the program runs again and again. You get to type what you want to say to the chatbot. If you type exit, the chatbot ends. All lowercase makes it simple to stop anytime. Say goodbye if you are done. Stop the loop with break. If you do not want to exit, send your message to the API. This uses the mini GPT for model for fast responses. Send the user message to the model just like before. End building the chat message. The RS reply is printed on your screen. Running the cell now. This output demonstrates the chatbot successfully generating a detailed, multi-step response based on the user's input, illustrating how API calls to the smallest GPT for 0.1 linear model produce coherent, informative replies. Notice the clear, structured format of the answer, showing the value of limiting tokens while still maintaining helpfulness, which aligns with best practices for efficient and cost-effective API use. Troubleshooting OpenAI API issues. If you get an authentication error, make sure your API key is set. Double-check that your environment variable is named OpenAI_API_key. Use print e in Python to see error messages from the API. Running the cell now. This is your first challenge. Ask the AI for a creative poem. The prompt asks the AI to write a 2-line poem about clouds. We start a chat completion with the prompt. We still use the efficient mini GPT for model. Your prompt is included as a user message. The API call setup is complete. Print the poem that the AI creates for you. Running the cell now. This output shows the successful completion of the API call, returning a creative 2-line poem as requested. Notice how the AI understood the prompt and generated a concise response, confirming your API key is correctly set and the request is structured properly. This verifies that the client setup and authentication are working as intended. Here is another challenge. Ask the AI to define any word you like. This line waits for you to type a word, like Python, ocean, or science. Send your question to the chat model. The AI will try to answer in one sentence. We keep using the small GPT for practice. The user message uses your word in a definition prompt. End the API call setup. The RS definition prints out for you. Running the cell now. This output shows the AI successfully responding to the prompt by defining the word Python in one sentence. Notice how the code captures the user input, sends it to the API, and then prints the concise definition returned. This demonstrates that your API call is correctly authenticated and functioning, a key step in troubleshooting connectivity and request issues. Lesson recap. You learned what the OpenAI API is and how to use it. You set up your environment and made your first API calls. You handled errors, best practices, and built a basic chatbot. Well done! You are ready to explore more on your own. Running the cell now. Thank you and next steps. Thanks for joining this beginner lesson on the OpenAI API. Try more prompts on your own and see what the AI can do. Like and subscribe for more videos on AI coding and projects. Share your questions and progress in the comments below. Running the cell now.